excited to be moderating this amazing and really timely panel discussion on ESG, which I think for many Ghanaians, until 2 weeks ago, ESG was this thing that, people talked about in ivory towers, and, it was the global theoretical something, until we saw the River Pra, the Densu River. And really, until we've understood that ESG is not a theoretical thing, it is something that is, as we say in Ghana, live and colored and is impacting all of us deeply. So today we're talking about ESG from the boardroom to the breakroom. And we are going to look at how general councils and how organizations are integrating ESG into their organizational culture, how they're aligning their values with ESG. Very excited for the panel and the panelists we have today. And I'm just going to call them up one by one. We have Doreen Illiasu. Hi, Doreen. Doreen is the General Counsel for Stanbic Ghana. I think her official title is Head Legal and Governance for Stanbic Bank Ghana. Thank you. We have Osose Aziba. Osose, thank you very much. You flew in all the way from Nigeria just for this event and for this panel. So thank you so much. Osose is General Counsel for West and Central Africa for British American Tobacco. We also have Juliet. Juliet, I'm going to kill your name. Manteaw-Kutin. I hope I didn't massacre it too badly. Okay. Juliet is General Counsel for Asante Gold Corporation. And last but not least, I haven't seen her, so I'm hoping she is actually here. Shiokor boy, B-boy, who is legal manager and company secretary for Vivo Energy Ghana. Oh, there she is. Hi, Na.
Hey, I'm a DJ. So juice mixed with a little ginger. Oh, girl, I wanna be with you.
Ladies, thank you very much. I was going to do an icebreaker, but I think we're running a little behind time. So we're just going to jump. Sorry? We should still do it. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to play a little game just to get everybody warmed up. We want this session to be super interactive, by the way. So please, look away from your phones or your iPads. And we want you to really be listening to what these incredible ladies have to share with you. Because it affects all of you. So we're going to play a game, 2 truths and a lie. Each panelist is going to share 2 truths about themselves and 1 fib. And then the other panelists are going to guess which is the lie. Now the point is for all of us to get to know each of you a little bit better. So please let the truths be about, and the lie be about you. Now you're looking up at the air, which means I'm going to start with you.
Let's see. Truth, lie. I'm still thinking. Okay. So I'm the last one of my family. I am a professional competitive swimmer. And then I sing in the choir. Yeah.
Okay, you're going to guess which is the lie. So she is the last born. She sings in the choir. And what was?
And she's a professional competitor.
I think it's the car. That's a lie. Yeah, you sing in the car. That's a lie.
I think it's the first one. You're not the last one. Okay, so you're a chorister and you're a baby last, but you are not a competitive swimmer. Okay, thank you. Juliet?
Okay. I've never ridden a bicycle before. I love tomato and cucumber. And
She used to be a radio DJ. Okay. Ladies, which one is the lie?
I think the last one.
No, that's not a lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Seriously, you don't like your vegetables? All right, girl. We'll talk about that later. Osose.
Okay. So for context, I'm Nigerian and proudly so. So my two truths and one alternative fact, because we're lawyers, right? We don't lie. So, so two truths and an alternative fact. I do not eat or like peppery or spicy meals. I always, it's been my lifelong dream. I always wanted to be a lawyer for as long as I could remember. And 3, I am a morning person.
It's a hard one.
The first one.
It's the last one.
I think it's the last one.
Which one?
The morning person.
I think the
I'm a morning person.
spice.
Wow.
I do not like pepper or spicy meals. So the lie is I've not always wanted to be a lawyer. I kind of found myself in it.
Wow. Okay. Imagine that. Imagine if this is what you had wanted to do. Incredible. Okay.
So for me,
Doreen.
my two truths and alternative facts is that I started year 1 when I was 4 years old. I have 2 children. And I took dance lessons when I was a child, Ghanaian cultural dancing and ballet.
That's the third.
Okay. One of those has to be a lie. Okay.
One of it is a lie.
I think you didn't start class 1 at 4 years old.
I actually did.
Wow.
The third one.
Boffin.
The third
Okay.
one. Dancing and ballet.
No, I actually did.
You don't have 2 children.
I don't have 2 children. I have 4.
Okay. Thank you so much, ladies. I see Guido looking a little anxious. Guido, we're staying on track. We're staying on time. So with that, we are going to jump right into the questions. So to no one in particular, you can decide who's going to... Oh, sorry, ground rules. As I said, I want this to be super, super, super interactive. And so we're going to have the questions as and when they come up. So you don't have to wait till the end. If you have a question, please just put up your hand and somebody will come around with a mic. Okay, first question. How do your organization's values align with ESG principles? And how is this reflected in your corporate identity?
Okay, so maybe I'll go.
Okay.
I work for Stanbic Bank, which is a subsidiary of the Standard Bank of South Africa. Our purpose is that Africa is our home and we drive her growth. Now that speaks to how we do our business. Since Africa is our home, you know how we all treat our homes. Nobody wants to desecrate their home. As such, what we do, how we translate it is that as we provide sustainable economic development for the continent, we do it in an inclusive and a manner such that we manage practically and proactively the economic and social risks inherent in that. So we derive the way we do our strategy from our purpose, and that is how we do our business. So it really drives the way we do our business.
Thank you for that. But I'm going to come back to you and ask you to just sort of bring it down to the level of like a 10-year-old.
Okay.
So that was really quite lofty. And what does that actually mean when you come down to the ground?
So on the ground, what it then means is that we try to impact our communities, basically. And also we try to serve our customers such that the customer is happy. We provide services to our customers, and we try to make sure that once you make sure your customer is happy, the basic thing is once your customer is happy, you're sure that you get the customer's business and you're sure that you get a repeat business. But in addition to that, all the communities that we operate in, we try to impact positively. In some areas, which includes women, children, education, health, and technology. And so for example, myself and my team, we have a fund that we contribute to monthly. And at the end of a quarter or the end of a half year, we get the bank to match the funds that we have raised. We have other ways of raising funds. And then we go into our community, find a project, and do that project. So practically, that is how we do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
But in addition to that, I also have targets around that. So I have ESG targets, which I report on a quarterly basis, and I am assessed on as well.
Wow, okay. Can you tell us a little about the targets?
So for me, because I'm a lawyer, how many ESG agreements I have actually drafted, and what kind of corporate social interventions I have done for the year, and the value and the impact, because the impact is also assessed as well. So that is how it is driven all the way down. And so I then also delegate those targets to my team, and so my team members are also required to do something and reporting to me in terms of that. Yeah.
That's great. We'll come back to this because, you know, making sure that it is embedded in the HR system so that it's in everybody's targets is essential, and that's often a missing piece. Would anyone else like to take a stab at this?
Okay. So I work for a mining company, and I always say that mining has always done ESG before ESG became what it is. We've always been very, very heavily regulated. So it's always reflected in our values. So in my company, our values are safety, ownership, teamwork, and continuous improvement. And safety, when we say safety, we mean zero harm or no harm. And we mean no harm to our employees. When they come to work, we expect that they work safely and go back home. We mean no harm to the environment, and this reflects in all our environmental obligations, our reporting, our monitoring. And it also means that maintaining a social license, no harm to our communities. So reflecting our community investments, we do so many of them on both mines. We have 2 mines, and we do scholarships. We produced our first female doctor from BBNE just about 2 years ago. That was fully sponsored by the company. We have a football team, BBNE All-Stars, that's in the Premier League, and so many other community investments that we do.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I work for Vivo Energy. We are an oil marketing company, and we do recognize the impact of our activities on the environment and even on people. And so for us, we have a value of respect, honesty, and integrity and safety. And I think we concentrate more when it comes to safety. We are known for our safety policies. We have an initiative called Go Zero, where we attract and make sure that we don't have any major incident occurring. And I can say that last month, we actually achieved 5,000 Go Zero days. That's 13 years plus years of no incident. So you wouldn't hear that there's a truck belonging to Shell that has had an accident or, resulting in loss of lives and all that. We really have a robust environmental policy, sustainability policy, and that's how we have tried to align our ESG principles to our organizational values.
Thank you. Osose.
Yeah, so for me, and disclaimer before I go ahead, I work for British American Tobacco, which is a tobacco and other category product industry. And looking around this room, I can see we are all adults, but in the event that there is any child here, this conversation is not for you, but just looking around, we're all adults. So it's important for me to make that disclaimer because of the nature of the product and our industry that we operate in. So having said that, BAT as an industry has existed for, over 100, we've been in business for over 100 years, and even in West Africa, even looking at my home country, Nigeria, we have been in Nigeria for over 100 years, not initially as BAT, but we eventually evolved into BAT. So sustainability and ESG generally, before it even became mainstream, had also been something that we were very particular about because of, like I said, because of the nature of the product itself, and we're very responsible about communicating the effect of the product, and at the same time recognizing, consumers' preferences and choices, and the fact that it is a product of choice, is not a product that is ever forced on anyone. So in thinking ESG, one thing that for BAT, it had to become front and center from something that was part of what we used to do to now being, we are very deliberate, we're being very conscious of it. So we've been doing this for the last almost 20 years, and a lot of research has gone into that. Being conscious of the health impact of the product, we have evolved our product portfolio and even our strategy, and we are committed to delivering a better tomorrow because, like I said, a responsible company conscious of the health impact of the product, so diversifying the product so that adult consumers who would otherwise choose or continue to engage in nicotine products and other nicotine-related products can have that opportunity to still enjoy or have access to their nicotine, but with a reduced risk portfolio. So beyond even the product, we are very conscious of the fact that the environment in which we operate in, we have to give back to the community and give back to nature, Earth, because everything else that we need for our products are sourced from the Earth. So we have to play a part in that. So to the extent that regulation allows in whatever country we operate in, we ensure that we are even already a step ahead. We have goals and targets up until the end markets. Apart from the global targets, we have our targets in West and Central Africa, things that we want to achieve in the general, from the environmental to the social impact, and then corporate governance. Corporate governance as well is something that we are big on.
Thank you very much. So how do you, I think this is one of the really critical things to embedding ESG into organizations. How do you ensure that the ESG principles are understood and embraced at all levels in the organization? Quite often you have people discussing these things at the board level and maybe at the ExCom level, but then when you come, all the way down through the organizational structure, how do you make sure that in the break room,
everybody really understands what the point is.
Okay, so I actually have a funny story around this, so maybe let
Can
me
we
share.
all hear now?
Sorry, I have a funny story around this. So a couple of months ago, a colleague walked into my office. I think went for a seminar somewhere on ESG, and came to my office and said, "Oh, how come we're not doing anything on ESG?" You know, and it was funny because we've been doing so much. I mean, Shell has been here since 100 years, so. Like we've all said, we've been doing a lot around ESG even before it became, you know, a thing now. And so I had to kind of like tell her about some of the things we're doing in sustainability. And she was like, oh, so that is it. So we realized that there's that gap of what is actually happening and what, you know, is like the theoretical concept of what ESG is and what we are practically doing on a day-to-day. And so for us as an organization, we decided that when we have, like, for example, our town hall meetings, there's a session we call safety moments. So in the safety moments, we pick a topic, a life learning incident, or something that we want to throw light on for employees to know. So now what we've done is to add some of the things that we are doing around ESG and even explain some concepts around ESG for people to understand, because most of the time employees are part of these initiatives anyway, but they do not recognize that that is part of, you know, the whole ESG thing we are talking about. So that's one of the things that we've done. We do a lot of stakeholder partnerships. We've done a few things around road safety with Ghana Road Safety Authority. We have this environmental clubs that we do with primary schools, where we teach them about recycling, and we do that with an organization called United Way. So we try to do all of these, and we have heavily involvement of employees whenever we do this. And so now we realized that the gap was more in trying to synchronize the two. What's the practicality and then, you know, the theoretical aspect of it. So that's one of the things that we have been doing in that area.
Yeah, so communicating, making the connection between the different things that people are doing and the ESG principles, like being deliberate about that. Okay.
Like I said, in mining, we've always had ESG present. So we have an environmental department, have a sustainability department, we have all of that. I think one of our biggest challenge, though, is on diversity, gender diversity, because the industry tends to be more male-dominated. We don't have enough women in there. And what we've done is to now try to promote a lot more women into roles, especially at the lower level, because that's where most of our employees are. But that's where the work is also very physically challenging. So men tend to do that. But we have like a training center in our community where we train people to operate the equipment. So we're encouraging a lot more women in the community to do that, so that they can end up in the industry or in the company, so we can push up our numbers. We also have the Women in Mining chapters established, and it's championed by our country director, who is like the patron and leads it, you know, just to encourage the numbers and also promote our women a lot more, for people to know that women can have careers in mining, and there are good careers in mining as well.
I'm going to pause there for a second. Having listened, having heard what has been shared, I'm just wondering whether anybody else, I have a bunch of questions in my own mind. Does anybody else have any questions about what you've heard? We have one. Hi, Ernst.
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I can't resist. As you know, this is eat, pray, sleep, love thing for me. My question is a simple one, based on what you've shared. But and I'm fortunate that I know two of the businesses on stage from an ESG perspective quite well. So, what is the key reason why your businesses are thinking about ESG in any event? There's a big move globally saying that ESG is dead, we shouldn't be thinking about ESG, we shouldn't worry about ESG. Climate change, 1.5 degrees, that's dead. Maybe we get to 2 degrees if we're lucky. Why are we still having this conversation? Why is it important to your businesses?
Is it directed at anyone in particular? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that question. I would say, for me, it goes back to when I think about the fact that BAT that I work with has been in existence for over 100 years. As BAT, not necessarily in Nigeria or in West Africa. It means that for the business to continue for another, and I guess the founding fathers obviously knew that, did not know that someday some Osose would be here sitting and talking about BAT, right? So they may have done some things, they must have done some things right, like for us to get here. But whatever it is that had been done in the last, 100 years before we started thinking about a better tomorrow, was not going to be able to sustain the business into the future, because we have to be realistic about our environment and everything that we operate in. We have to respond to the time. So to ensure sustainability of the business, I know sometimes when we think ESG, maybe even especially as lawyers, there tends to be more of a focus on the G aspect, the corporate governance, because that's what comes to us naturally as lawyers. We don't have to do a lot of heavy thinking. It's part of our training. And environmental impact. Whether or not you're a lawyer, I think we all feel that the earth is our home. So except you're like Elon Musk or something, this is all we have. We are going to live here. Our children are going to live here. Our grandchildren are going to live here. Not everyone is going to be able to afford the other planets, right? But if I would now narrow it down to the S factor of ESG, which is a part that I'm narrowing it down because selfishly that's the part I'm passionate about, because like I said, the G corporate governance aspect is second nature to lawyers. It's because that S, the social impact, is the aspect that has a lot of gray areas, and that's where a lot more industries and organizations, I think, can play in. And we recognize, to your question, as a business, recognize the fact that our business is a consumer goods business. So the consumer at the heart of the business that we do. And also being heavily regulated, the people are our consumers, our people being the talent, the people that work with BAT as suppliers, and everyone along the value chain is the reason why we have a business. Yes, there's the shareholders and everything, but the people are the reason. So if we do not respond to trends, or even be the pace setter, or set the pace in whatever market or environment we operate in, we're not going to just be contributing, we're not going to be making our impact felt. It will then just be about the numbers. And the numbers are driven by human beings. So we have to respond to the needs of the people. We have to be conscious of our environment. And in that social space, for instance, my fellow panelist, Juliet, made a very valid point, and that's something I'm very passionate about. We do have a target where we historically were a male-dominated industry, one, because of the product type, and then even a reflection of the talents and the staff that worked with BAT. Okay. But you now have an increase in female leaders, and we have a global ambition and target to increase female management and leadership to 45% by end of next year. And we have plans in place, and we're matching the talk with action, even in West Africa, and being very intentional about our qualified female management staff to ensure that they have that accelerated access and opportunity to become leaders, and then help us to bridge that gap. So those are some of the things that we do, and why I said it's important for me to focus on the S part of ESG.
Okay, ladies, it seems we have 1 minute left of the panel. So I'm going to ask you we need to wrap up. And so we were going to talk about affirmative action. I'm glad that you've brought some of that into the conversation. But if there is one thing that you would like to leave everybody here with about the importance of ESG and how critical it is that we as lawyers really champion it in our organizations, what would that be? And if you could give it to us in 20 seconds, that would be great.
Okay, so maybe let me go. So ESG is good for business. There's actually research to prove that. ESG is good for our planet. It's good for all of us. It may be costly, but it's a more sustainable way of living and doing business. So as in-house counsel and advisors, legal advisors, we are properly positioned to assist our clients, which usually is our employer, into embedding their ESG objectives or ESG strategies, because we are the ones who assist with the policies and assist with the education around the policies and all of that. So it really sits with us significantly in embedding ESG, which it inevitably will go to the benefit of the business that we support. Thank you.
Thanks. Juliet?
Okay.
Juliet, I know everybody wants you to talk about what's going on at the moment, so please let us address the elephant in the room. You know, what Galamsey, the pollution.
Okay.
Please, if you could.
I must say that large-scale companies, mining companies like my company, do not involve ourselves in illegal mining activities. We are actually often victims of illegal mining activities. It's a shame that we either don't have the political will to address this, or we're not just doing enough about this. But that said, like as mining companies do not engage, large-scale mining companies, we don't engage in illegal mining activities. In fact, we are very, very regulated. We have serious obligations on environmental rehab, and we are required to post a bond to cover all the damage that you do to the environment. A portion of that is posted in cash, and we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. As an industry, we actually now having a challenge finding enough banks locally to guarantee our environmental liabilities, because banks are not capitalized enough to fund our environmental liabilities. The estimates, and these are estimates that mining companies themselves generate, and some mining companies, some are as high as $160 million, and we post a guarantee for that. So we are very responsible in mining.
Yeah, no, the point was not that you are responsible for Galamsey. We are all now aware Galamsey is the illegal mining, but it's all part of your industry, you see. So what is the one takeaway? What's the one thing you want us to all go away with? You know, when we think about mining and we think about ESG and what the responsible miners are doing, what should we all be thinking about?
If we all sit quietly and do not say anything about illegal mining, we're going to wake up one day and won't have water to drink, and that's a reality. We're going to wake up one day and a lot of mining companies would have moved out of the jurisdiction. And it's the mining companies that are sustaining our economy at the moment, generating forex and all of that, because our operations get overrun by illegal miners most of the time. In my past experience, we lost an employee, a senior management member, because of illegal mining. You know, he died in an accident involving, you know. So the impact of Galamsey is so severe, and it is so close. It's a lot closer than we think. You know, you could lose a family member. We could wake up with all sorts of diseases, and we should not let the politicians hijack the conversation, because it's not politics, it is reality.
Thank you so much. Doreen, before we come to you, Doreen, I mean, banks are just integral to everything, and your role is so transversal. What's the one thing you want us to take away from this conversation about what banks can and are doing about ESG?
Thank you. So what banks are doing at the moment, at least I can speak for my bank, what we do at the moment is that we actually have a screening app, and it's an E and S screening app. We screen for environmental and social impacts of our clients, all our clients. And out of that, we determine whether we need to do an enhanced due diligence if the rating for that client is higher. What I want us to take away from here is that in every business or in every industry, we are able to offset our carbon footprint or offset any actions that we take by taking counter actions. And as I said previously, even though it may be a bit more costly to go the organic way, it's actually the way to go now in business. And it makes your financing costs less as well, because we don't then need to do enhanced due diligence and additional monitoring, which is what we have to do where your ESG rating is higher. Where your ESG rating is higher, we tend to have to do more monitoring, and so your cost is higher. But if you're more ESG compliant, your cost goes down and your borrowing cost is less. Make sense?
Yeah. So
Thank you.
banks are
So we are alive to it.
Yeah, and you're helping by funding those who are running more sustainable and
Cheaper.
greener businesses.
The people with greener businesses get cheaper lending than the people with
Brown businesses.
brown.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, last but not least, oil and gas. What are you people doing to help us?
So, okay, I would say as a closure remark that we should be open-minded and know that ESG is here to stay. And as an organization that we sell fuels, we are being responsible by making sure that we are also adding alternative energy solutions to our business. For example, we've started doing a lot of solar in all of our fuel stations. And we have a policy that any new fuel station, for example, that we are constructing will have solar and other energy renewable solutions. So that's one of the things to do to reduce emissions. We are also looking into electric cars. We know that it's now a thing. We will get there. We sometimes feel like it's something that is so far away, but we don't see it we see it as a complementary, service to what we already do. We don't see it as, like a challenge to our business. And so currently we do have investments. We are doing investments in that area where from next year you would see a lot of car charging points in our filling stations, for example. And then we currently even have an initiative where we realized that these boats, we're using electric motorcycles. We're doing like a battery swap where people can just go and swap, trying to minimize the way people dispose of batteries and stuff onto the environment. So these are a few things that we are doing in our space, as far as ESG is concerned. Yeah.
Oh, also say, in my excitement about wrapping up on time.
Okay, no, not a problem. So because this is a gathering of mostly general counsel, I would say my recommendation, advice would be, we all need to get on board with the reality. The G aspect of ESG is a low-hanging fruit. I think even before, like I said, before ESG became mainstream, it's something that we were always doing. But in terms of adding that value and what will make us stand out, I remember that Bidemi Ademola had mentioned, when she was speaking earlier, had mentioned something about how we add value as general counsel. It's not just about, oh yes, we are the legal compliance people or the people that always say no. How involved are we in the business, in the direction of the business, and especially in the E part, in the environment part, and in the social aspect of the of ESG. So that's something that I would like to leave as
a lasting thought or something for us to think about critically. How do we add value and be very involved in the ESG conversations or ESG type activities that can help move our organizations, and more importantly, beyond the organizations we work for, this planet or this earth. How do we help protect and preserve and ensure that this earth remains sustainable for us and future generations?
Thank you so much. My apologies that we didn't really get to engage you. I didn't sell what I promised. But thank you all very much for listening. I've been looking around. You're all kind enough to be off your phones. I can't say any more than these amazing ladies have said. The time really is now, and as lawyers, we're in a critical position in our organizations and in the world generally. So thank you all very much. Please do engage them in the coffee break. They have so much to share. We didn't get to talk about, some of the critical things about really embedding ESG in organizations. Doreen touched on it, really putting the ESG metrics in people's targets, because without that, you're just talking. Measurement, what these organizations, because they're very organized, what they are doing to measure the different targets and goals. Without measurement, again, we're just chatting. So please engage them, and I hope that we will have another opportunity to have a really meaningful conversation about it.